Hey, my name is Matthew from Barber Details, and this is a video I made on a Volkswagen Passat full detail that I did just a few days ago. Basically made this video just to show off the entire detail process, what goes on in the garage, what goes into each car, the whole process in getting a used car ready for the showroom. So yeah, I hope you find it insightful. And yeah, so any people that have never used my services before, you can see what goes on in the process. And yeah, this car took me about 10 hours to do, so it's quite a big job. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy the video, and if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Thank you. So this is the car. It's a black VW Passat Wagon. So the night before I filmed this, I actually did give the car a wash and a vacuum, so it was quite a bit worse than this before I started. So I find that's a good way to approach big jobs if you break them up into smaller parts. So the paintwork on this did have quite a bit of fallout on it, so that's basically contaminants that build up on the paint over time. So if you don't wash your car, for long periods at a time, things can build up on the paint and it becomes very rough. So even when you wash your car, the paintwork is still not, it doesn't feel like it did when you first bought it, kind of thing. So you need to do a clay bar stage, which is basically a decontamination. You use a foam spray with the soap, and then you do a nice clay bar stage, which makes the paint a lot smoother. Yeah, so that's all been done. I've vacuumed it. I've taken all the mats out. This is everything that's involved in the full detail. So getting the car ready for the showroom. Yeah, so the number plates are taken off. The spare wheels taken out, all the mats, carpet mats are taken out, glove box is emptied, everything is stripped from the car, everything short of actually taking the seats out. All the bits in the console, center console, any little rubber trim bits that are removable, they're taken out. Yeah, this car unfortunately does have a bit of damage there, just on the driver's side carpet. Yeah, so just showing here the state of the car, I guess, when I started, but yeah, as I said, I have washed it once. So yeah, a lot of that grub has come off. And yeah. So these cars I like to do in my workshop at home because I've got the shade. I can work in. It's really hard to buff a car out in the sun. Basically the chemicals and the polishes don't like the sun. You really do need shade if you're going to work on the car properly. So being black as well, I really wanted to get into this one. I knew it was going to need a 2 or a 3 stage buff because you can see here the paint, the lighting's not great for the video quality is probably not the best, but yeah, there was heaps of scratches in it. Once you look up closely in a black car, you can definitely see the marring, and yeah, although the car's clean, because I've already cleaned it, yeah, there was heaps of marring the paint when it's out in the sun or under the showroom lights. Yeah, there's heaps of inconsistencies in the paint. So basically my job is to get rid of as much of those as possible, and I try and get the cars back within 1 day. So proper paint correction, which is basically getting the paint back to perfection, as much as perfect, that's not what I do. So that takes days or sometimes weeks. So especially with black cars like this, my job is to make sure it, bring the shine back to the paint, get as much of the inconsistencies out as I can, especially with the darker colours. Do spot scratches. So yeah, everything as much as I can in that 1 day mark. And yeah, so as the video goes on, you'll see everything that's involved in that. So the first step to interior detailing, that's where I start the car, is you get the compressor, the air compressor, and you blow out everything. This is the chemical that I use, Bowden's Orange Agent. It's one of my favourite chemicals in my whole line of gear that I use. It's a citrus based cleaner. It's got a bit of an orangey smell, so it just freshens up the cabin. I use that and my brushes here, you know, to agitate the rails and like the vents and that sort of thing. And that drill brush is my favourite tool out of everything I have. I use it every day. Such a great tool. I always have it on me. And yeah, this is just me here starting off using the compressor. So basically, once we've had that initial vacuum that I've already done, we want to blow out as much as we can of loose stuff in the car. So dust, dirt, sand, all that stuff has to be loosened up. And so you see me approaching the dash here. So we'll spray down after it's been kind of clean. You don't want to spray kind of on a lot of grub and that sort of stuff because it'll just get moist. So blow out as much as you can, and then you spray, use the detailing brushes around the vents and whatnot, and then yeah, we'll blow out again with the compressor, and hopefully that leaves you with a clean finish. And if it doesn't, we'll just repeat the process until we do. Sometimes we'll need to use things like plastic blades and that sort of thing to get in some like smaller cracks and whatnot. Yeah, so as you go on in the detailing, you know, I've been detailing for 10 plus years, ever since I was a teenager, and you pick up so many tools and different tips and tricks along the way. So definitely, like, you see the older guys that detail, they've been detailing for a long time. Like, I've got a lot of respect for them because they have been learning essentially for all that time. And you know, you can't knock that. An older guy is going to have that experience, and that's valuable in the detailing world because, you know, you make mistakes as you go along like any other job, and you learn every day. So the longer you're in it, just the more skills you're going to have, generally anyway, as long as the person's still growing. So yeah, I definitely look for all new opportunities to grow and learn. This took me ages, this boot in this car. So some cars, all cars have different kind of carpets. So some have thin ones, some have like really plush, deep carpets, like Range Rovers. I know they've got like really deep carpets. So yeah, they're all different. This one had really stiff carpet in the boot. So like the floors were okay, that was nice and soft, but yeah, that boot took me about half an hour just to vacuum it out. You've got to use all different brushes. What you just saw there was kind of before the vacuum, after the compressor stage, and then this is after. So I do one side of the car at a time. And you can see there, so by this stage I've compressed the whole car. I've, you know, done all those rails under the seats. I've done all the vents with the spray and blown everything out that I can in that first stage. And then I've done my detail vacuum. So once that's done, the car's essentially vacuumed and cleaned. Then I'll tackle all those bits that I took out. So all the trims, the parcel shelves, they'll all be degreased with that orange agent. There's that same chemical again. they'll all be clean. All the little bits from the cup holders and that sort of thing, they're all clean, because they usually almost always have coffee, you know, even underneath, like they get really sticky just over the years. And then I'll tackle the mats. So I've got a little spot cleaner there that you can see. So I'll detail vacuum the mats, and then I'll spray them with carpet cleaner for the auto industry. It's really good. And then yeah, leave a nice pattern in the carpet, and then they're all freshened up. For the next stage in the interior, so this is probably about 2 hours in today. We'll do the degrease. I use the magic erasers. They're sometimes marketed for like getting marks off of gyprock walls and that sort of thing. They are amazing for detailing the interior of cars. You just have to be a bit careful with older cars, because they are very harsh. They do strip a lot of the dirt and grub that's on the surface, which makes them really good. Yeah, so much comes off. You'll have no idea until you actually do it on a car that's like even 3 years old or something. If it's never been fully detailed, there's a lot of stuff that comes off. So in all the high traffic areas, like here, like the driver's seat obviously, and the driver's headrest often is quite dirty. And sorry, I was just checking my sound there. And the most challenging spot is always the steering wheel. So most people have no idea how much grub and grime is on their steering wheel. I always see it when I detail, like, yeah, a lot of the times, especially in females' cars, so a lot of the times they have makeup and things on their hands. You don't realise it actually builds up a lot over time. You might not even see it, but you can definitely feel the difference after you've detailed a steering wheel with one of those sponges and all the grub's off. It feels, yeah, you can't explain that in the video, I guess, but it just feels and smells so much better, like being clean. Yeah, so that's all the stuff that came off the car. I used 4 of those sponges. When you start, they're like really thick and really white. So yeah, and here you can see the interior is finished. All the mats are clean, they're hanging up drying. So yeah, the whole car's been stripped. And yeah, it's the spare wheel's out. I'm gonna wash that shortly. All the trims have been degreased. I don't like using rejuvenants. A lot of detailers use like silicone based dressings and that sort of thing. I'd never do that unless I have to. Like if something's originally defected, if you know what I mean, like if it's an old car and like the leather's really worn out or something, so that when it's cleaned it doesn't look great, then I'll try and tackle a rejuvenator there. But I really try and avoid it, because I find they attract dirt and dust heaps, especially interiors. You know, you've got humans in there, you're breathing, you've got things from your hands, body oils, all that stuff will stick to the rejuvenant a lot of the times, and it'll get dirty a lot quicker. So I like to just clean, degrease, and have it nice and fresh and smelling nice. I find that's the best way, and then over time that will be a lot better on the longevity of your interior. So if you're always putting chemicals on it and then scrubbing them off and then cleaning and then reapplying and all that, yeah, I find that's it's not great. So yeah, just a really thorough clean like this, and the difference is amazing when you sit in the cabin. Just like the freshness, yeah, all your vents are clean, so all the gunk that's been blowing from your air conditioner onto your face is all gone. Yeah. Right, so with the interior done, we've got, since I've already washed the car and prepped the paint, so I've already done that clay bar, as I mentioned. Now we're looking at doing the first stage in polishing. So that one there, the 3M machine polish, that's going to be the second stage. Yeah, the red pads there are the cutting pads, so they're the first stage, and then the yellow and the black pads, they're your finishing pads, so they're a lot softer. The red ones are a lot grittier, so they'll cut down to the paint. You hear of cut and polish, so a cut is what you'll see here. So a cut is basically getting down past as many of the surface scratches as you can down through the clear. And so you'll see me doing a test spot here, so I'll just try, basically you want to try and see what polish works. All cars are different, all paints are different. So here I've done, that line there is where I haven't polished, obviously, so you can see a massive difference with the shine. Again, like, it's not paint correction, so it's not like going to be perfect with no swirls whatsoever, but my whole idea within these 1 day details is I need to get the paint looking as fresh as possible, and you'll see that line there, yeah. And in the sun, out in the, you know, when people are driving, when people see it drive on the road, you want it to pop and shine as nice as possible, and in the most efficient way possible. So here I chose to do the G6, which is the harshest cutter that I've got. It's really gritty, just so I can cut down as much of those scratches as I can, all that wear and tear from whoever's been washing it over the years. So yeah, you do the first stage here. This is sped up like 20 times, so I think the bonnet took me just about half an hour just to do this. So it does take a long time polishing. Yeah, so that's your cutting stage. Now this one very quickly is the B stage, so that 3M darker polish. So I'll still use the cutting pad for this. Yeah, so this car, because it was pretty bad paintwork, I did a 2-stage polish, a 2-stage cut all over, and then we'll finish, you'll see later, with a 3rd stage, which is a final polish with the black polish. But yeah, this is the bit that takes the time, because you're having to take your time on each individual panel. You have to look. A lot of spot scratches and that come up when someone doesn't clean their car for months and months. When it's finally clean, you'll see all the scratches that have been there, like under all the dirt, and those have to be attended to here. So this can usually be a very extensive process, just getting all those scratches out. Sometimes, you know, around the door handles and stuff, that requires a lot of work. Yeah, the buff that I'm using is a Makita brand. I love it. It's actually a orbital sander, so I like it because it's got a forced rotation function, which most car polishers, the popular ones, they're like a dual action orbital polisher, so you can stall them, so they're not as industrial or rough as mine is, but I like it because it takes the time down that it needs to cut through the paint, and it really works well, as long as you've got good quality pads, which I have. Yeah, you learn to work with what you have. I kind of learned polishing on that polisher. That's why I bought one for myself. I'm comfortable with it. It's a little bit heavier than some other ones, some popular ones, but yeah, I like it. It suits me for now. So yeah. So sorry, I just missed that. So the video that I was walking around the car, that was like first stage of polishing done, second stage of polishing done. Those two cutting stages are finished. And now we wash. So this is the detail wash. So you've got to clean the engine, you've got to degrease everything. So I'll use a lot of chemicals on the engine. So this one is called Little Ripper. It's from Karken. And yeah, it's a really great product. You need to spray that and let it sit. And I always have the car running as well, because sometimes when you get water or whatever on the belts and things like that, they can squeal and squeak when you turn the car back on. So I leave it running and found that works really well. So yeah, I'll spray as much as I can on there, and then we'll get the soap on there so it can dwell for a minute. Yeah. And I'll leave that sit, and then I'll tackle the outside of the car. So now that the car's been polished, we need to give it a thorough wash with the sponges, and yeah, get all those polish marks off that have like dried on there. I use foam sponges in my full detailing process just because they're they are very efficient. Like, you never miss spots with them, and I don't use them with my maintenance clients. I'll use like a really soft lamb's wool mitt, but in this process in particular, I'll use my foam sponges because I know that I'm not going to miss any spots, and like if they do put small swirls in the paint, I'm going to tackle that anyway with my last stage, with my black polish, so I'm not too fussed. But like when I'm on the road, if I see this car again, like, and I detail it, you know, once someone's owned it and whatever, I'll because I know it's been polished and whatnot, I'll be using my lamb's wool mitt. So yeah, that really minimises any swirls down the track. All the wheels are done very extensively. They're all brushed. All the inner barrels are done. The brake calipers are detailed with the brushes. And there you can see the wheel. First wheel's done. Yep, then we'll dry the car off. And we'll use the compressor to get all the water out of all the cracks. If this third stage, when you're buffing, if there's water in there, it's gonna spread the polish, which you don't want, so the car has to be completely dry. So you need to use the air and just blow out all the water that's in all those door trims, the roof rails, all that stuff, the lights, the water sits in there. Yeah, you probably notice, like, if you put your car through a car wash or something, and then when you drive away, you always get those little drippies. So yeah, we want to get rid of all of those, make sure the car's completely bone dry. And now we're tackling the third stage in the buff process. So this is a Gelson's T57 black polish. It's for really dark coloured cars only, and I love the product. Such a great product. I've used it for years. Ever since I started kind of in the dealership industry, I've used it for a long time. It's a great finishing product, teamed up with those really soft Meguiar's black pads like I'm using here. This is what's going to bring that shine back, and it's a great finisher to that buff process. So like, yeah, this was it's all sped up heaps, but yeah, this bit does take time, and it's very rewarding because once it's been done, people often ask me, you know, what do you recommend, like, you know, just a maintenance detail or more extensive like this. I like doing this if I see a new customer. There's a finished project. If I see a new customer, I like doing this first because then I know the car's been decontaminated, every bit is like spotless, it's fresh, I know there's nothing under the seats or anything, like it's, you know, it's clean, and then they're very easy to maintain from this point. So either if you get this done, and then you can either maintain it yourself, I can give you some tips on how to do so, or it's a more affordable basis, like you can have either a tri-weekly or a monthly clean. Yeah, it's much easier to take care of from this point. If you just start with like a maintenance detail, it's yeah, you're not getting in and doing that deep clean, especially on the carpets and that, all those bits. Like, it's hard to do that out on the road in someone's driveway. I really need to get it in the workshop, get the car stripped, and have all my tools on me to really get in and spend the time on it that it needs. And yeah, so yeah, all those trims much cleaner than they were before. If you could only smell the car, like before and after, you can really tell afterwards, like how different it really is. Like, yeah, it's very hard to describe until you have it done. But yeah, visually it's obviously much better. Mats have all been shampooed and cleaned. Yeah, the windows have all been degreased on the inside, and cleaned. And all those bits, like I said at the start, they've been taken out. And yeah, so in a minute I'm going to show you the final kind of video that I make for all the cars that are for sale. So this car's from a dealership, so it's like a final presentation. So if you're selling your car, I can easily make one of them for you, edit it, and it's just a great thing to put on car sales or Facebook or whatever, so people can see. The cars look great. So yeah, I'll stop the recording now, and thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. Thanks very much.